Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Brooks. I'm the president of Face-to-Face with Greatness Seminars and former president of George University. I want to thank Eli, Alex, Jennifer for pulling together this group for you, this opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about Thomas Jefferson education. Let me start at the beginning. Back in 1992, a number of us got together, Oliver and Rachel DeMille. They were kind of spearheaded this whole project. Myself and others were looking for a way to impact higher education in a way that had not been done in this country for about a century. And that was to find the method of education used in America for the first 300 and so years that produced the likes of Jefferson and Madison and Washington and Adams, and the list goes on and on. Well, we were able to do that. We discovered in our research a relationship between George Wythe and Thomas Jefferson that produced an incredible educational program built around the liberal arts and really worked well for higher ed. So we started the University George Wythe College. We later found that there was universal application for all human development in this particular approach called TJ Ed, or Thomas Jefferson Education. So at that point, we started to apply it in many different fields. It's basically broken up into four areas, or four what we call phases, the four phases of great learning. Core, love of learning, scholar, and depth. Now, we found out later that those who are considered to be the fathers of American education also discovered these phases, particularly Erikson and Piaget. And if you do their research, or you go to our books that you probably have available to you there, you'll find some more background on this. But let me walk you through briefly what these phases are. Phase 1 is the core phase, basically 0 to 8. Now, there are no age limits in these, but that's a kind of a ballpark figure. This is where you learn your compass. This is where you get the idea of who you are, a sense of what truth is. And, of course, you get that in the best environment of family, home, siblings, loving grandparents and parents, aunts and uncles, cousins. That's probably the best way to do that. We find that the more you put kids, in a room, 35-year-olds in a room does not necessarily lead to a really solid core, kind of more like, Lord of the Flies. So we really encourage people to look at core and realize that core is not about academics. Core is about who are you? What is your core, your foundation? What are your core principles that will really guide the rest of your life? What are those? Start developing those early, and of course that happens best in a family environment. We move to the next phase, which is love of learning. Basically 8 to 12. Again, there are no limits on these ages. I know plenty of folks who are in their 40s and 50s still in the love of learning phase. Nothing wrong with that. It's about human development, and everybody is where they are. There's no, one size fits all. There's no expectations of you should be at this level at this certain age. That has no place in this. We're talking about human development. We're talking about you as an individual, and who's to say where anybody's supposed to be at a certain time? But when you are in these particular phases, here's how they go. Love of learning is it's a smorgasbord of education. It's the educational butterfly. This is where you have all these questions. Your awareness is increased out of the core phase, and you now are adventurous. You now want to know everything. You ask all these questions. These are the kids that go to the library and check out 20 books a week kind of thing and go crazy. My daughter's in this phase right now. She reads 300 books a year. She wants to know everything. Now she's kind of peeling off into Japanese right now, and she's learning kanji, and she's learning architecture and history. This is all on her own because she's so excited about learning. Love of learning. This is not force of learning, or as some of us have experienced, hate of learning, but this is a love of learning. And there's quite a bit that Eli and Jennifer and Alex will go over with you in this course. But it's a fabulous phase, and for parents and teachers who understand this phase properly, this is a wondrous time of education. This is not a time to be forcing people to do things they don't want to do. They have plenty of self-initiation. Let's build a program around that. Let's not build a program around what we think they should have or we're afraid they won't get. Let's build it around what they're interested in. And then, of course, you move into the scholar phase. Scholar phase is basically 12 to 16. This is the phase between scholar phase and love of learning. There's a line, and something happens there. When a student gets a sense of their mission, when they get a sense of who they are or who they might become, or that they're going to need certain skill sets or certain knowledge base to do this thing that they feel like they should do, they become very anxious and they want a lot of help. When they get to that place, if we've led them there properly, They will ask for help. They will ask to be critiqued. They will ask you to correct them very with high standards and very strictly, because they understand that they need those things to get to where they want to go next. That's a very different thing than love of learning. Scholar phase is 5,000 hours of intense study, and it works well when you have a student, once again, a motivated student to accomplish what they were supposed to do in terms of a mission, in terms of something that is unique to them. I don't really spend much time on depth phase because most people aren't there or don't have any children there. But depth phase is where you take this idea of a liberal arts education, you just put 5,000 hours of intense study, and now you want to provide for a family, you want to provide for a future, you want to have resources to fulfill your mission. Then you go into depth phase, and depth phase is really just another 5,000 hours of studying skills and tools so that you can go make a good living, provide for your family, meet your mission's goals. One other thing that I really wanted to cover this afternoon with you is a concept called the cooperative and the manipulative arts. Whenever anything's produced, in manufacturing, for example, you might want to produce a box or a shoe or a dry erase marker that you'll probably see today. That is not done through cooperation, that is done through manipulation. Raw resources, materials are brought in and are changed and converted, and you create this thing. You manipulate the natural resources until they give you what you want. That's the art of manipulation. The art of manipulation has no place in education. Education should be founded in student initiation, in love, in example, in leading the way from the front, not pushing from behind. It's the difference between a sheep herder and a shepherd. A sheep herder manipulates, a shepherd leads. And that's what takes me kind of into what I want to talk about here mostly, and that is the cooperative arts. When we say cooperative arts, Mortimer Adler had a lot to say about this, and he described it this way. He said, think of a midwife, think of a farmer. They're dealing with elements in society that they don't create, they don't manipulate. They understand the rules and the processes behind those things, and they cooperate with the very nature. If I had a handful of seeds here, and I were to throw them out on the lawn outside your building right now, those seeds would get trampled, some would die, the birds would eat some, the dogs, the kids, whatever, would eat the rest, but there'd be a few left, and they'd get pushed into the grass, and eventually, when spring came, those would start to grow. Everything that corn plant needs to reach its full potential is in it already. It just needs someone to help draw it out and protect it and cooperate with it. So that's what you do. If we were to go out there, put a little greenhouse around this corn plant and make sure it had plenty of fertilizer and water and maybe stroke it once in a while, this plant has a very good chance of reaching its full potential simply with our minimal cooperation. It doesn't need much more than that, but it does need a little bit of help. We start to force that corn plant, particularly to make it something other than a corn plant. Say it's a corn plant and we want it to be a tomato plant. You're not going to have a lot of luck with that. But if we can cooperate with the nature of the corn, if we spend all our time learning the nature of the corn, we can then cooperate with it and help it reach its full potential, and often it does. Well, I hope this is helpful. I'm really proud of Eli and Jennifer and Alex for taking the time and sharing the concepts that they've had, that they've learned in other seminars and through their readings and sharing with other people. Hope to see you at the number 2. I believe that's going to be in Syracuse in the future. And I just want to, again, congratulate Eli, Alex, and Jennifer for all the good work they're doing there in the New York area. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks.